It should just take us a couple of minutes because you're almost there.
I love your optimism. It's letting me reset my password.
See, we just needed to be positive.
See?
Amy, they said the water trust meeting is back up.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for letting me know. Were you able to get in?
It has let me in. Thank you. Now I'm
Okay.
trying to skip the tour.
Yes, in tour. And then you should be able to see right at the top where it says meetings and committees, a
Mhm.
little orange drop down, click that and go to live meeting.
It's auto-populating. I trust all that's the same.
Yes, go ahead and hit sign in on that. And then once you get in this next place, it should say Oklahoma City Meeting Viewer. And there should be under today, Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. Single click on that for me, please.
It says 8 p.m. I trust that's Greenwich Mean Time.
We're having a bug in the system. I apologize for that, but it is the correct one.
Thank you to the village and particularly Amy, the village leader, that helped me get here today. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for your patience. One thing I will remind you is if you're using one device, make sure that once they go live, like now, then go ahead and hit your escape button so you can see your Prime Gov in the background to be able to vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, do you have a script to read before the meeting?
I have
Call
a
to order.
script to give to Ms. O'Connor to read.
Okay, thank you.
He's going to read the script.
I have it. If I can find it. Okay, thank you for joining us. We have a few announcements to make before the meeting begins. Trustees, manager, secretary, and municipal counselor, please remain unmuted during the meeting. Other participants and staff are to remain on mute until recognized by the manager or chairman. If you are calling into the meeting, mute and unmute your phone using *6. If the video conference is disconnected at any time during the meeting shall be stopped and reconvened once the connection is restored. If the communication is unable to be restored within 15 minutes, and if communications cannot be restored, the meeting will reconvene on May 26, 2020 at 5 p.m. Anyone wishing to speak about an item or to be included in the citizens to be heard portion at the end of the meeting should call 405-297-2245 or text 405-219-7987 or email cityclerk@okc.gov. Please submit your request now to avoid receipt of your request after the item has been considered. The agenda and attachments are all available online at okc.gov. That is all I have.
Thank you, Kathy. It's time to call to order the Tuesday, May 26, 2020 meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. Good afternoon, everybody. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the May 11th, 2020 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. What is the desire of the trustees?
So move.
I am not seeing that pop up.
Nor am I.
For mine.
No minutes.
Who is acting as clerk for this meeting?
Okay,
Say again?
I guess I will, except I don't have the capabilities to do it here. But so we'll just do voice vote.
All right.
So is there a motion?
We need a motion.
So move.
Second,
Second? Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Yes, McAtee,
Yes?
Hooper,
Yes.
Roth,
Yes.
Stone.
aye.
It passed unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on our agenda is to ratify the OCEDT claims.
Move to ratify the claims.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And second, any discussion or questions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Aye.
Roth,
Aye.
Stone.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. Now, items that need individual attention. First one is the Alliance for Economic Development of Oklahoma City fiscal year 20 second quarter report. Kathy, would you please say what you want to know about that?
Included in your packet is a copy of the second quarter report from the Alliance for Economic Development. This report is through December 31st, 2019, so it's a little bit dated, and we've been busy on lots of new things lately. But just as a recap of some of the important things that we were working on, that quarter included continuing progress on the Homeland grocery store. It was decided during that quarter that they would not be building, or probably in January, that they would not be building the corporate headquarters. So now that project is just a new grocery store at 36th and Lincoln. We have been continuing on with developing the plans, getting all the city approvals for that project. So we are continuing to make good progress on it. And we continue to work on the completion of the Omni Hotel. It is well under construction and scheduled for an opening in January of 2021. The parking garage to serve the convention center, the Scissortail Park and Chesapeake Arena and the hotel is under construction and should be completed later this year. And the Alliance continues to provide project coordination services for all of these projects happening in the district. As you can imagine, there's a lot of conflicts between so many different general contractors and subcontractors and staging locations. So we've been helping with that part of the project management. We've had, on the job creation front, we've had several new projects that we've been working on. And as of December, some of those included Bakery Bling, which you all remember. We've been working on projects in and around Tinker and our aerospace strategy, examining the availability of large industrial sites and how we might impact that positively in the future. We have on Northeast Oklahoma City redevelopment and revitalization, just a couple of highlights. As you know, the Urban Renewal Authority purchased the Lions Mansion in Deep Deuce, and the Redevelopment Authority purchased the Brockway Center. We completed both of those transactions last year, and in January applied for a national trust. We submitted a letter of intent to apply for a grant, and we're invited to apply back just a few weeks ago. So we hope to be able to get a grant from the National Trust to help us plan for the future of those two buildings. Lots of various development projects that have been underway, some of which have crossed your agenda already, including the Fourth and Chartel residential project, Boulevard Place. We continue to work on Fourth and Gaylord, where we've received proposals for an affordable housing project on that location. We're working with Central Oklahoma Humane on a new compassion center that will be adjacent to the southern part of Scissortail Park. The Heartland office development we've been involved in, and just various other projects. We've also been working with the Boathouse Foundation on the Barquet development and trying to get all of those, the documents and various approvals completed on that. So I think that pretty much hits the highlights. Obviously, the last few months have been very busy doing a few different things, and we'll report on those in our next report.
Thank you, Kathy. Did any of the trustees have any questions or comments they'd like to make?
Kathy, I have a quick question for you. Is this the first ever grocery store that we've provided a large incentive to?
Yes. Yes. And when we wrote the retail incentive policy several years ago, it was envisioned and it specifically addresses retail in underserved areas, including food deserts. So, I mean, I think this has always been a part of the council's intent to try to do something like that. So, but yes, I mean, if you want to not consider Costco a grocery store, this is the first true conventional grocery store that we've provided incentives to.
Was the Costco incentive, I'm trying to refresh my memory, but was any of that tied to the jobs performance piece of it, or was it just for Costco?
No, the Costco warehouse store incentive was tied to sales tax generation. So it was based on a calculation of new to Oklahoma City sales tax revenues that would be paid to Costco upon, the benchmarks in the agreement. So they had to be open for 1 year. And I think May 31st will be the first year end for the Costco store. So we'll start looking at those numbers here in the next, over the next couple of months.
Interesting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that the report be received.
I'll offer that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? And again, hearing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Yes.
Roth,
Yes.
Stone.
Aye.
Approved unanimously.
Thank you, ma'am. Next on our agenda is the joint resolution between the City of Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City Development Trust, involving increment district number 2 of the taxes, and also funding for the Little Teresa residence that's being developed.
Yes, trust, this resolution is to allocate $982,501 from tax increment district number 2 for the redevelopment of the Villa Teresa school property into 2 separate projects, one a hotel and the other residences. The project's located on Classen Drive in Oklahoma City, and we will be coming back to the trust with an economic development agreement that spells out how the incentives will be provided. But they are provided on a reimbursement basis for this project.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments or questions from trustees? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation.
I'd offer a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Marva, did you want to make any comments to the trust? I failed to recognize that we had a presentation ready to go. It didn't show up in my packet, so I skipped over that.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marva Ellard, and Jeff Irwin and Billy Woodring, who are partners of mine in this, are on the phone with us too. I probably don't need to tell you all a lot about Villa, because most of you have been very aware of it for a long time. We're very excited about the projects that we're doing there, and we're happy to answer any questions anyone has about it. We're doing some for sale residential, and we're doing a hotel with the historic buildings.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Secretary, we already had a motion to approve. Do I need to rescind that, or can I just go ahead and take a second and move on?
Yes, you can take a second.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that information, Ms. Ellard. And any comments or questions from the trustees?
Larry, now that
I'll entertain a second.
now that I've seen the budget for it and the schematics, I would offer even a stronger motion for approval.
A stronger motion, all right? We'll
Did you
take
have a-
that as a good second.
Did you have
Actually,
a
it's my
second?
motion. I think you still need a second. I'll keep you out of trouble here.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Aye.
Roth,
Yes.
Stone.
Aye.
I'm going back and forth, aye and yes, for Todd's purposes.
I like that.
If you don't say
Okay,
aye, we can't say the
motion
ayes.
passes unanimously.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Kathy, if you would explain a potential contract for auditing services.
Yeah, the next item on your agenda is a contract for audit services for the trust for the actually the current for next fiscal year, but to audit the current fiscal year. And it has a fee increase of just over 4% from the previous year's fee. The fee is $21,943. The guys are here to mow my yard. Great.
Any comments or questions or action from the trustees?
Like to move the item, please?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Yes.
Roth,
Aye.
Stone.
Aye.
We have to have some sense of, keep it off.
Right.
Motion passes.
Keep me laughing.
All right. Next up is a recommendation to approve an addendum to an agreement between Metro Tech and School District 22 and the Oklahoma City Development Trust in the city of Oklahoma City.
Yes, this item is an addendum to the agreement that is currently in place with Metro Tech for the renovation of the South Bryant campus. The major change is that Metro Tech was originally provided us with a completion date of December 31st, 2020, and they are requesting a 3-year extension to that project. Also, just as another note, Metro Tech's contribution to the project has increased from $20 million to just over 34 million. So they're planning on doing a lot more work there than they originally intended.
Kathy, has any work begun on the project?
I don't know the answer to that question. Lacey, do you know?
Kathy, I think that Matt Ginhart with Metro Tech is on the line with us, and maybe he can answer that question.
Oh, okay. Okie doke. Thank you.
Hello, guys. We're still in our conceptual design phase of that. We're expanding our public service offerings out there to include fire safety And our police academy is growing out there as well. We're also moving in an aerospace component there that requires a whole new building. And we're doing the plans to demolish a building A and do asbestos abatement to be able to build on that area. We do have some infrastructure items that we're working on now that will require some work with OG&E and also the school zone and stoplight.
Thank you for that information. Any further questions? Thank you for that good report.
No problem.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the addendum to the agreement.
So moved.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Aye.
Roth,
Yes.
Stone,
Aye.
passed unanimously.
Thank you.
Rhonda, you were waiting.
I was hoping.
Little law and order out there. You all are running wild on me here.
Hey, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
3-day weekend, Larry. Sorry.
No problem at all. Okay, next up, we have a memorandum of agreement between the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust and the Myriad Gardens Foundation, dealing with a renovation project not to exceed $5,958,750. Kathy, if you would.
This item is an agreement to complete the improvements that you've already approved and seen the allocation for the TIF funding from TIF 2 and TIF 8 for this project. So this is just the memorandum of agreement between the trust and the Myriad Gardens Foundation to complete those improvements to the Crystal Bridge. The project will be managed by Public Works since it's a public improvement on city-owned property. So it just gets that project underway.
Any comments or questions from the trustees?
This, Kathy, is related to the presentation that Maureen had provided a few months ago, correct?
Right. Yes. Yeah. And just as a little bit of additional information, the Myriad Gardens Foundation has raised about $2.6 million that will also be provided towards the project. So it's the 5.9 or just shy of 6 million that are being provided through TIF funding, and then another 2.6 million from the Myriad Gardens Foundation. I'm sorry, they're here to mow my yard.
That's okay. Thank you for that information. I do recall also the pro forma perspective that she had offered, which seemed to make a lot of sense about the facility's draw and its potential to pay back over time. So appreciated that. I would move the item as it exists on our agenda for approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the item
Second.
and a second. Any comments or questions?
There is a typo on one of the pages, and I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but it was like 1 0 is missing in the 5 million. So please take a look at that. And I should have written the page number down.
Okay, what action, Madam Secretary, do we need to take on that?
I'll take care of it, correcting it.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I need a motion then to approve the agreement.
We do have a motion and a second. Are you
We
ready
do
for
have,
me to
okay.
call roll?
Call the roll. Thank you.
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Yes.
Roth,
Aye.
Stone.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you all. Next on our agenda is the proposed fiscal year 2020-2021 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust budget.
Yes, and I believe Joanna McSpadden is going to provide you with a presentation concerning this item.
Thank you.
Good
Joanna.
afternoon, everybody. In your packet, you should have the budget document, and I will summarize with this presentation. And again, this is the proposed budget. We'll come back at the June meeting with final adoption as we finalize that out. So this is our proposed budget for next fiscal year. It totals 1.65 million. This is a decrease from last year, and I can walk you through some of those changes here as we go. So the TIF total is about 118 million. This is net of interfund transfers, which are transfers that we make for support of the TIF 13 bond, on the Convention Center Hotel. We have some commitments from TIF 8 and TIF 2 to support those bond payments, and so we have to budget in both places, and then we back out that duplication. So the net is 118 million, and you'll see that that's one of the places there for that we have a change in budget. We see a pretty large decrease there this year, and the majority of that, I apologize, is TIF 13. So last year we had budgeted all of the payments for the Convention Center project, and this year we're not budgeting for those payments to the project as we fully expended that $84 million bond issue. The SIP program totals 35.9 million, which is again a slight decrease from last year. We had about 45 million in that program last year, and that's just through expenditures on projects that we have active currently. And then General Economic Development has a budget of 11.2 million, which is a little bit more this year. We're doing a larger payment on the First Americans Museum this year. So I've got slides that'll kind of detail some of this as we go through, just a high level summary of the overall changes. So our budget does include funding for all of the contracts listed here below. And we'll now go into each TIF district, kind of talk about some of the details. So the TIF 2 and 3 totals 39.9 million. You'll see there a list of active projects that we will be making payments on throughout the year that we budgeted for. We do have a payment for debt service budgeted at 9.8 million on our debt service bonds totaling $67 million. We also have a transfer of $3.5 million to the Convention Center Hotel Bond Fund, which is one of the transfers I had mentioned before. Also in TIF 2 and 3, we anticipate 15.1 million in ad valorem taxes to be collected, 375,000 from the Skirvin Hotel sales tax. This is a state match on that project. And then we have 300,000 in development loan receivables from 4 or 5 loans that we have outstanding in TIF 2 and 3. TIF 4 and 5 next is a budget of 3.9 million. We anticipate 1.2 million to be collected in property tax next year, and 300,000 from sales tax TIF 5, which is the state match on the Dell project. TIF 8 totals 33.1 million. Active projects are the P180 Package 8 and the new Myriad Gardens project that we just approved the MOU on. We also have a budget in there for just under $1 million. This is again a transfer to that Convention Center Hotel Fund that I mentioned, TIF 13. And we have in revenue, we have 11.3 million, which is the ad valorem minimum tax payment on the Devon Tower. TIF 9 went up this year. You'll see, let me get to my page because that doesn't have my total on it. So we've got a budget of about 5 million this year for TIF 9. We anticipate 300,000 in property tax, and we've budgeted the 3.5 million for the Homeland Grocery Store project. And you'll notice that in the TIF 9 budget, we've already transferred that funding for Homeland to the TIF fund. So it shows as revenue and or fund balance. And then we're also budgeting the expense for Homeland. TIF 10 anticipates 300,000 in property tax. And you'll notice on that one that we've again budgeted the 25 million for the long-term debt that we expect for the First National project. Most of you know that that did not come to fruition this year, but we anticipate hopefully this year. Everybody's still working on gathering and securing the funding for that project. So we continue to work on that. So we've gone ahead and budgeted for that 25 million again this year. TIF 12, got a budget of 13,000. As a reminder, this is distributed to the developer at 75% for the infrastructure, and then 25% is set aside for that school fund for use at a later date. TIF 13 is the Convention Center Hotel project, or TIF. So this is part of our Core to Shore TIF plan. And we've got a total of 15 million. So this was where we saw that kind of that large decrease in budget for the TIF section of the budget. We have funding streams coming from various locations to cover the debt on the Omni. I will let you know that we've, the city manager and Brent and everybody, we've been in several discussions about maintaining those funds, because we recognize that COVID and everything that's happened could cause some delays to expected revenue that we had from the convention center and the hotel. And so we're being really mindful of that. But that's pretty much the what this budget is covering now, are those debt payments. Our SIP program, we've got a budget of 35.9 million. You'll see under job creation, we've got various payments for projects that are currently active that we'll be making throughout the year, provided qualifications are met. We've got 2 affordable housing projects that are currently outstanding. And then we also have some professional services contracts that we'll cover under this program, this budget. And then finally, our general economic development budget totals 11.2. And as I said earlier, this is an increase from 8.6 last year. And the majority of that is a larger payment on the First Americans Museum. Last year, the payment was 1.5, and they have an escalating payment structure, and it's going to be 4 million this year. So we've budgeted accordingly. We also have the majority of kind of our annual contracts that you see listed there, budgeted here in this section. In summary, again, the total is 165 million, funds based services and contracts, along with the other things we just discussed. We will bring this budget back to you at the June 16th meeting for final consideration, and then it will be sent on to City Council for their July 7th meeting. And I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Joanna. A quick question. I hate to blindside you with this, but let me set it up. Today in council, people were talking about the fact that maybe we were only helping out large companies in our economic development effort in Oklahoma City. And I interpreted that to mean companies like Boeing. But we also have on our list of projects a number of smaller and medium-sized companies, do we not, that are also receiving economic development assistance?
Yes, I would agree with that.
And if somebody wants to see all of the projects that are active, how would you recommend that they do that?
I would say the best way to do that is to look at those general manager reports that we publish with our monthly meetings. It's going to give a good summary of the payments that are being made to all of those companies. And then they would see, you know, they could look up the company and kind of see what the size was. All of the agreements that are approved through the processes that we go through are all available online as well. So I think there are various places they could go to look, and then I would also be happy to, of course, summarize those things or answer questions that anybody might have.
What's the best way to reach you?
Well, my office number is 297-3879, or they can email me at joanna.mcspadden@okc.gov.
Thank you for handling it. I didn't mean to do that. I should have told you ahead of time what I was going to do. You handled it flawlessly.
Okay.
A perfect handoff. Next on our agenda. Well, no, first we have to receive the proposed fiscal year of 2021 OCEDT budget. Do I have a motion to receive said proposal?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any comments or questions from the trustees? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, if you would, please call the roll.
McAtee,
Yes.
Hooper,
Aye.
Roth,
Yes.
Stone.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you all. That concludes everything except the general manager's report that Joanna mentioned a minute ago. And that's available for you if you'd like to avail yourself of it to see exactly the details of what the trust is all about. That being said, do we need a motion to adjourn, or can I just do it, Francis?
You can just do it, but did you ask if there were any citizens to be heard?
No, I didn't. I think I better do that. Thank you for reminding me. Are there any citizens who are on the line wanting to be heard? I'm feeling a little better. Seeing none, now we are adjourned. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.